line 6, that would be Senator Barker. Yours.
Greetings, how are you?
Greetings, my friend.
Good, good to see you, so.
Yes.
I see I even have my delegate here, so. Clifton United, so.
Go forward.
Clifton United, I like that.
That's how
All
you
right,
go better the Commonwealth.
That's right, that's right. I happen to be the only Virginia legislator who's on the board for the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, so that's why I have this bill. Because this is a deal with expanding a towing compact that is, has been in place for a number of years between Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And what this does is it adds 4 bridges. The towing compact was done just for the area right where the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments is. This then picks up 1 down the Nice Bridge, not too far from Delegate Thomas's area, and then 3 bridges starting with Point of Rocks Bridge, which is Route 15, going from Leesburg up to Frederick, Maryland. No. There is no bridge in Clifton. Well, no, there is one bridge in Clifton, but it's a small one. It's a small one, and it doesn't go to DC, so, or Maryland, so. So all this does is just add those others, those 4 other bridges, so that we have basically the full length of Maryland and Virginia border.
Thank you, Senator. Anyone in the audience to speak either in favor? Joanne?
Mr. Chair, Joanne Axel from VDOT. This is a VDOT bill and we do support it.
Great, thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Okay, hearing none. The board have any, or the committee have any questions, comments?
Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir. We have a motion to report. We have a second. Okay, we'll all vote on electronic voting. Senator.
Oh.
6-0. In favor of your request.
Thank you very much. I'll get out of here as fast as I can.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you being here. All righty. Is anyone else here? No other senators here? Senator Carrico's bills. Okay. Senator Marsden, Senate Bill 1020.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 1020 changes the name of the Virginia Association for Community Conflict Resolution to the Resolution Virginia Fund. They already have a license plate. This just changes the name in the code for what the organization has changed their name already. We say in code the money goes to the Virginia Association for Community Conflict Resolution. That doesn't exist anymore, so it just updates the name.
Okay. And the money's now going to Resolution Virginia? Okay.
And the actual plate itself does not need to change.
Nothing changes about the plate. All right. Anyone in the audience, questions, comments, or either favor or against? No, thank you. Good report. I have a motion to report, and we have a second. I'll be up here in a second. All right. Your report 6-0. Thank you. Emma, thank you.
I'm not sure if there's any other that are that simple.
Another problem with some of this.
Senator Carrico's bill's fairly simple, isn't it? There's a line of them I think we have. The one, 1505.
Yes, have you talked about that?
I have.
Okay. We can, sure, if you'd like me to present that one.
Well, no, I have not talked to him about the amendment. I talked to him about the bill, but I'm not, is he not aware of the amendment?
He is.
He is aware of the amendment?
If it's the amendment that VDOT.
Yeah, I think VDOT recommended.
notice from the
Joanne, Chief,
agency.
is he aware of the amendment, Joanne?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I talked to him yesterday afternoon.
Is he fine with the amendment?
He was fine with it. He said as long as all we're doing is providing approval for the entity, for who requiring approval by the entity for whom the individual would serve or work, he's fine with it.
Okay. Would you report to me?
On line 27 of the engrossed bill, after receives, insert for a naming, Romanet 1, for a naming after a state official, a letter or resolution from the head of the state agency by which the state official was employed requesting such naming, or Romanet 2, for a naming other than after a state official, a resolution. On line 28, after located, strike a resolution of that governing body.
Joanne, does that sound correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we looked at it very carefully, Emma's been good to look at it.
Okay. You have a motion for the amendment? Move to approve. Move the amendment. Second. Amendment's now properly before us. All right, motion. Make a report. And second. Thank you, Dave. All right.
General laws.
There's a motion to report and a second. Bill?
Let me get the,
Okay, thank you.
amendment up here.
Thank you, Task Force. Okay.
Report as amended.
Yes, sir. Report as amended.
Whoever did his vote.
Your report's 6-0.
Don't muddy the water.
Okay.
Somebody's phone is ringing. Okay, I thought it was mine. I figured it's gonna be general laws calling for this thing.
What do you think, Emma's
It's,
in it?
it's good to talk to, and I'm happy to introduce you, but I think they are for
State police? Which one is that?
the other campaign.
Oh, 1510? Okay.
How you got?
Colonel Maxey?
Oh,
Yes, sir. On Senate Bill 1510, towing request made by local law enforcement officers. I think I spoke to Senator Carrico about this bill.
Yes, sir.
Because I thought it may possibly cause some conflict with the towing requirements that the state police has in order to proceed down the list. And I was not aware of what the intent of the bill is, which I now understand.
Okay.
You mind speaking to this bill?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Ron Maxey, Virginia State Police. Currently, the way the law is written, the Virginia State Police is required if a local governing body has a contract with a tow service for their locality, state police is bound to utilize that service. There are times when that is not in the best interest of the motoring public because their interest may be more secondary roads, ours is the primary interstate. The tow contract may be more suited for off those interstates. This allows us, with the amended language, I believe it's an amended language in there, I just see something that was engrossed in it, I'm not sure. But it allows us that we can utilize those, but if it is in our best interest to go outside of that, use our normal rotational list, or if VDOT is to enter into contracts for certain sections of roads, we can pick which one is gonna clear the lanes quicker. So it would be beneficial for a traffic incident management standpoint from the state police.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Anyone in the audience to speak either in favor or against this bill? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
so this exempts state police from.
Exactly. If an authority, a local governing body sets a governing policy up, it exempts state police from that policy. Yeah, I'm right, I understand that's right. Have a motion? Move to report. Second, all right. Motion and a second. Bill's properly before. Yes. Okay, we have two more bills. Senator Deeds' bill is 1481, commercial driver's license, entry-level driver's training.
Mr. Chairman, this, oh,
Hey, Bill. We cleared your bill.
Okay, both of them?
Both of them.
Yep. All right.
You're good. Thank you.
Wow, I love this committee.
We love you too, Senator. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this bill,
Lost our form.
No.
All right, go ahead. Yes, sir.
This bill updates Virginia law to reflect changes in federal regulations. It also incorporates Delegate Thomas's bill related to waiver of CDL, certain CDL requirements for certain military personnel. There is an amendment to, or substitute to conform the section of Senator Deeds' bill that relates to military waivers with the same language as Delegate Thomas's.
So we need to move the substitute, and then we're conforming the bill to Senator Thomas.
Just that
Dr.
section.
Thomas.
Just that section.
Just that
So
section.
what happened was, this was a large agency bill wasn't dropping, and I wanted to accomplish the other thing, and it was getting really late, so I went ahead and submitted my smaller part.
I got you.
So I think we like our language there, so this would make that
Okay.
portion.
So we have a substitute, right? Limited nature of substitute.
So everything's the same, except for the language that we already passed for CDL for veterans on the House side. That's the way I understand it. What they have approved.
Are you here to address the bill?
Yes, sir.
Let us get this amendment before, amendment in nature of substitute.
Move substitute.
I have a motion, move substitute.
Second.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, substitution properly before us. Okay, if you would, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, militant board with DMV. The bill has a number of changes, and this is an agency bill that will allow us to come into compliance with federal regulatory grant and exemption requirements. It has, the changes are in 6 major areas, all related to commercial motor vehicle operation. 2 of the areas are especially mandatory, and would, if we don't comply with the requirements, would put us in jeopardy of losing federal funds or losing the ability to issue commercial driver's licenses. And so the first of those has to do with entry-level driver training. It would require that anyone getting a Class A or Class B commercial driver's license for the very first time, or anyone who has a CDL commercial driver's license and they're getting a school bus, passenger, or hazardous material endorsement on that CDL for the first time, they would have to complete entry-level driver training in order to get their CDL. And so the bill has requirements related to what entities can provide that training. They have to be on a federal motor carrier safety regulations registry, and it also has some requirements related to the curriculum that must be. And so those are regulations that states have to comply with by February of 2020. Okay. The next in the mandatory category has to do with something that Federal Motor Carrier detected in one of their annual audits of DMV. And it was that we do not have codified the federal requirement to disqualify a person who has a commercial driver's license or a commercial learner's permit if they commit a violation such as manufacturing, distributing a controlled substance while operating a non-commercial motor vehicle. And so we have to codify that requirement in order to comply. Okay, there are 4 other requirements. 2 of the next ones have to do with the release of information, and they're not required, but they would allow us to continue to operate some pretty good programs. One has to do with the release of information, crash data. Federal Motor Carrier provides us with about $300,000 every 2 years of funds in order to maintain that system. But we do not have the authority to release information to them. For example, when they're investigating a crash involving a commercial motor vehicle. And then the other has to do with release of information in situations where there's an audit.
Please, your bill.
We're doing your bill.
Senator,
Wilson could probably present better than I can.
if you just stay on with it, please.
I think the substitute incorporates some provisions from
We've
your
got
bill.
substitute properly before us.
The bill just brings us in compliance
Yes.
with federal law and allows us to continue to issue a commercial driver's license. I mean, that's the bottom
Yeah.
line.
She's doing a great job at explaining that.
Okay.
Don't mess it up.
And so, in Virginia, we have, we conduct skills performance evaluations for individuals who have missing or impaired limbs, maybe as a result of a military injury, but there's an evaluation that typically drivers have to go to Federal Motor Carrier to get. Virginia is the one and only state that they have authorized to conduct that evaluation, trained our folks, and so certainly in doing that, they want to come in and audit us to make sure we're doing it correctly. The change that's included in this bill would give us the authority to release, to show them our records so that they can verify that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then the last 2 have to do with just adding conveniences for our customers. Currently, when we issue a commercial learner's permit, it's valid for 6 months. Well, if a person gets to the end of that and they want to continue practicing a little, they have to come back into the DMV to get another one that's valid for another 6 months. The regulations allow us to issue commercial driver's license for 1 year. So we want to be able to do that just to offer convenience for the drivers. And then the last one has to do with waivers involving military personnel. Currently, we
evaluation, waive the skills test, if a person has been in the military, functioning in a job that requires the operation of a commercial motor vehicle, and their commanding officer signs off on that. We've done about 823 individuals have that waiver so far. This bill goes a little further, to authorize us to, waive the knowledge test. Again, when there's a person has been operating in that military job for at least a year and their commanding officer signs on it. So that's what the bill does.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ann. Any questions? Anyone in the audience to speak either in favor or against this bill?
You're hired, by the way.
Besides Senator Lee. Senator, do you have anything to
I
add?
don't have anything to add.
Probably best you don't. She's done a great job.
Motion report.
I have a motion report, and we have a second
And substitute.
with the substitute, correct. All right, bill's properly before us. Bill reports 5-0. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Okay. That leaves us one last bill, I think. And this, bill to step. Senator to step.
I've identified them
Okay.
a number of ways and I called his office just now, so.
Okay. 1499, Senator Kostef's bill. This would require the Commissioner of DMV to issue a response for certain acute or alleged violations as part of the motor vehicle dealer section of the code. There's also an enactment clause that would require the Commissioner to report to House and Senate Transportation Chairman next year and the year after on the nature and number of the violation explanations that they have issued over the last year.
Sure.
And I'm sure that DMV or BABA would probably be
And
pleased.
someone here, you will speak in.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Ann Gambardella with the Virginia Auto Dealers Association. Current law requires the commissioner to initiate these investigations when violations of the auto dealer franchise laws are reported to him. This just puts in place a process for sort of formalizing how he responds to those. DMV suggested the enactment clause so that we can all track sort of what issues are being reported and how those responses are going to see about the impact on the agency and then the impact on the auto dealer community as well.
Yeah. Seems like a real benefit to the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have some formal process to report.
We like to think so.
I think so also. Anyone else in the audience to speak either in favor or against this bill? Okay, any questions from the committee? What's your pleasure? Move to report. Have a motion to report.
Second.
Have a second. Bill properly before us. Good move. Yeah, it's good. I would have done it. Yeah, it's good. Sure. It's not good. Okay, bill reports 5-0. Or 6-0, I'm sorry.
6.
Yep. So I think that concludes our